going to do is I'm going to do a raffle. The very first raffle is going to be, let's see, let me make sure I can do this right. Okay, I want to make sure I can share the screen. Y'all gotta give me a second. Again, I'm still trying to get dope with this technology and I'm not. Did I close it? I hope not. Because that took a lot of time to put y'all names on them joints, y'all. So hopefully it's still in there. Give me one moment. I think the first raffle that we're going to do is going to be, let's do the clear your throat raffle. Since we just talked about clear your throat, there were several things in there. Every raffle comes with a t-shirt and a mug, as the one that I'm drinking out of right here. It's so cute. But this one also comes with the chakra oil in order to clear your throat. And so if you're not into essential oils, get into it. It's a game changer. And it also is a courage candle from a Black-owned company called Ignite Your Peace. The candle smells amazing. But again, it's all about just sort of reminding you that to be brave and be courageous, even in the things that scare us, because it's so important for us to speak up for folks. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start off with our first raffle. And this is going to be the Clear Your Conscious raffle. Here we go. Here's our spin. I love this because it even claps. I also know that also she will be there. So Brandy Seymour is our very first winner of the Clear Your Throat Chakra prize. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. Okay, so we're going to do, let's do one more raffle. Why not? Right? Because this raffle stuff is fun. So we'll do our very, no, I won't do that raffle. We're going to do nope, not that one either. We're going to stay in the loud confidence raffle. So let's do the new shoes raffle, because I like that one. That's a good ass raffle. So the new shoes raffle, not only does it include the cute socks and other things, the big part about that is that actually includes one free strategy coaching session with me. So typically what I do is I do 30-minute free consultations. Some folks choose to sign on, but either because they're not ready or for financial reasons, they're unable to continue. So 1 hour with Coach Boz will, if you're coming to me with an idea about something or you're not sure how to get started on something, that is also included on the package. So remember, you get the t-shirt, you get the mug, you get a whole bunch of other stuff, but I think it's a big deal that you get a free hour of coaching with me because it is a little pricey. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. And let's see who the winner is of that. And feel free, if this is something that you are interested in, you are definitely more than welcome to share it with somebody else. We will not be mad. I promise you about that. Okay, let's see who I want. Tracy S. Sorry. Yvette, make sure I write this down. I know y'all ain't gonna let me forget anyway, but thank you. So we still have 4 more raffles to give away. I'm also going to be doing, if folks are on Facebook, if they are watching and engaging, I'm also going to do a separate raffle for that I'll announce later. Folks who purchase the book, I won't be posting the winner live today, but I will be. That's also a great prize pack. If you don't win today for that and you've already pre-ordered the book, you are getting your choice between either an hour strategy session or 50% off 8-week coaching program, which is valued between $200 and $400 of free services. You are also getting $50 gift card to Unabashed Toys. That is my online adult toy store. And you are also getting a free tarot reading from Tiana Glass Tripp, AKA Ruby Phoenix, who is actually going to be asking me some questions next about the book. And then we will also have some Q&A after for folks who may have additional questions. So I'm ready for you.
All right. Well, thank you for having me here today. Thank you everyone for coming and participating on the call today. Wanted a chance to put Toya, Toya likes to be in control of all situations at all times. So of course she is the host and MC of her own event. And why shouldn't she be? She's amazing at it. But we're going to put her in the hot seat here a little bit. And I have a few questions for you just so you can show us that where you came from with this book and what your mindset was when you were created. Give us a little insight into your creative process. So at the very outset of this book, you proclaim Black women. This time you are the forethought, not the afterthought. So why was it important for you to make this so clear?
I think for me, it's always like whenever you read like certain books or or movies or what have you, it's always like a little section, like, oh, specifically for Black women. If you go into major stores, right, there's the section for Black women. If you go to bookstores, here's your little section. Everything is always sectioned off, and we are the afterthought. We are not only the afterthought and just when it comes to purchasing items and being consumers, but we are also often the afterthought when it comes to rights. So when we talk about rights, we have like in the feminist movement, you have like white women who are like, yeah, we want this, and like that, express their oppressions as if they're heavier than ours. When we talk about rights for African Americans or people of color, it's usually the men who we are at the forefront for. And really for me, honestly, I want to say it was the slaying of so many Black women. So for me, Corinne Gaines was the young lady who, first of all, reminded me of so many of the young women who I've worked with over the years as a mentor and as a teacher, who was, knowledgeable, passionate about what she understood, and maybe in some cases may have needed some guidance around certain things. I don't know. But when she was, murdered in her apartment, as officers raided her apartment and shot her baby, like that messed me up for like a very long time. And so people don't rally for us in the same way that we rally for Black men. As soon as Black men are shot, we out here, right? Like the Black Lives Matter movement started with Black women. When we think about the Me Too movement, it was started with a Black woman. So we out here, we make movements on a daily basis. But then somehow they get picked up, right? So the Me Too movement got picked up, and then it became white women in Hollywood. The Black Lives Matter movement was started by Black women, and yes, it was in response to initially a Black person, a Black male being killed, but it again, nobody showed up for us in the same capacity. It didn't show up for Sandra Bland the same way they showed up for people. Even to this day, people didn't show up for Breonna Taylor like they did for George Floyd. And so for me, being a Black woman, I wanted to let my readers know, you are important. You are coming first in this instance. If nowhere else, you are first in this book. And so either folks who are not Black are gonna read it and try to learn something from it, or they're gonna bypass it and go on to the next. But for me, they needed to be at the forefront of it, because oftentimes we are the afterthought.
I love it. I love it. So you brought up a good point. And one of the things that I noticed about this book, so Toya was kind enough to give me an advance copy of the book, and I was able to read it over the last few days. Wonderful book, can't recommend it enough, and obviously y'all all are going to love it. But one of the things I noticed about the book is that it's not only a book for Black women. Like Black women, we are obviously at the forefront, and that's who you were thinking of when you wrote it. But I think that it's not necessarily just a book for Black women, it's also a book about Black women. And what I mean by that is that it's like a how-to book for loving Black women. And I just wanted to know if that was your intent when you were writing the book.
I think I just really wanted people as a whole to just be like, to be free. I want people to be happy. I want people to be healthy, not just on the outside, but on the inside. I want people to not be afraid to go after what's important to them. I also want people to not be afraid to face things, even if they may be ridiculed, ostracized, if it means upsetting people in your family or your friendship circles. But to me, it's worth it. It's like, do the work. And the work sucks. And sometimes you really just want to quit, but there is so much joy on the other side. And that's what I really just wanted. And part of getting to joy and living this existence is also helping other people, and also speaking up for other people and showing up for other people as well.
So one of the words that you used in the book was unchained. And I really loved that the use of that word, because the imagery is so powerful. Did you mean to connect it to something so deeply spiritual, especially to the Black community?
Absolutely. So when we think about chains, we obviously we go back to not just the slave trade, but even afterwards, Jim Crow and chain gangs, and even now with the disproportionate amount of Black people in prison. But also we put ourselves in prison all the time. And I like the word chain too, even though I don't like when people are chained, but I really also wanted to use that word too, because for me, the imagery, so there's a dance, right? If people take Zumba, like I was a Zumba instructor back in the day. And so one of the dances, the cumbia, like they talk about how it's very rich in like that Caribbean culture, but also speaks about like the slave. And so they say like your foot, the way the dance goes is like the foot is tied to a tree, but then they still are dancing and celebrating. And then there's the candle that's like lighting the way. And so that was the thought that I had in mind, because I associate everything to dance and music. But just like some of us think we're free because we have the finances, or we have the job that we want, or certain things, but are we really free? What is holding us back from showing up as our authentic selves? And for many people, being our authentic selves is scary as shit, because again, we're so worried about being ostracized by other people or judged. And that's where the imagery came from for me, is that for some of us, we dancing and we free, but there's still something holding us back, that we're afraid to show up and be ourselves. So it's time to like take off that. For some of us, we got shackles everywhere, right? But it's like, take off that shackle. That's for some people, it's just that one piece left that is holding them back from ascending and becoming exactly who they want to be. So that's my hope for anybody who's reading it. It's my hope for everyone, but definitely for women, to become unchained and be able to show up in the way that they were meant to show up, and that there is congruency. And I talk about this in my self-esteem workshops, that there's congruency in who I show up as who I am. Because for many of us, it's like, I'm gonna show up as this, but on the inside, I'm struggling, I'm dealing with this. I want it to be congruent, or I say I'm this, right? I feel this way, but I'm scared to show up and be that. So I want there to be some congruency in who we are on the inside with how we show up in the world.
I love it. I
That
love
was a
it.
good ass question too, though.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, so I want to talk about your journey with spirituality. So I know personally that this is a major part of your life. You and I talk about this a lot in our personal lives. And I know that it's also just a big deal for you. And it's how one of the ways that you got to be who you are today. So in this book, I know you share some of your rituals for healing. Where did you start on your journey, and how did you get to where you are today?
Oh, good question. I think there's definitely layers. I believe that things are divinely timed, and that things are introduced into our lives in the right time and space sequence. So I feel like there was just a variety of experiences. So growing up, like I wasn't really necessarily deeply introduced to religion. I know my grandmother used to sleep with the Bible under her bed, and she prayed every night, and she made me say that prayer that I didn't really know what I was saying. I was like, "Now my name me down to sleep," and you didn't really know what you were saying. And then throughout the years, like I visited different churches, I tried different religions, most of them around Christianity. And it was just things that didn't stick with me, because I'm a rebel spirit. Like that's who I am. So I had questions, and there were certain things I didn't understand. And then I'm a poet. So I'm like, is this literal, or is this like, is this figurative language? And then also, again, I saw people who spoke about it, particularly with Christianity and religion, but then wasn't about it, right? Or things, again, were not congruent for me. So that made me question things. And also, but not having a connection, because I was questioning so much, is why I was walking through life aimlessly. And not having that connection is why I was like flighty and all over the place. So I did need something to ground me. And I'm a firm believer that everybody needs some sort of spiritual practice. I don't care if it is an organized religion. If that's what makes you show up and be happy and unchained, then great. But if it's something that is holding you back from being who you are authentically, then it might be time to introduce some other things. And also for me, as I've always loved Black history. I always loved studying things like that. So as I learned more about like, people in our past and our history, my family on my mom's side is from the South. My great grandmother apparently was like Geechee Gullah. And so like when we think about like the things that we do on a daily basis, it's like people are like, oh, that's the devil. Like you doing the tarot card, you're doing this. And it's like, yo, if you cook black eyed peas on New Year's Day, like that is a hoodoo practice. Like that is a way of warding off negativity. That whole thing about washing your clothes on New Year's Day, all of that stems from hoodoo culture. And so oftentimes we incorporate religious practices with that type of practice too. So the more that I sort of embraced my spirituality and my connection to my ancestors, the more I felt safe. And so for me, I didn't want to practice something where I still worried constantly, where my faith was not authentic, where, I spoke something and I prayed about it, but I was always scared something was going to happen. It didn't align for me. So as I started to develop sort of my own spiritual practice, I was less fearful. And I think that was important for me because I've always felt unsafe about certain things. So I was less fearful. I believed in myself more. I felt comforted. And also, folks who know me know that I've also lost a lot of relatives over time, my mother being the first and the closest. But I always felt like for me, and I think maybe this is where science came in, that like energy is not created nor destroyed. It doesn't change. Like water goes from clouds to puddles and we don't see it, but it's there. So for me, I've always felt sort of like this divine presence, like my loved ones are here. And nobody told me that, but I felt it all the time. And so as I started to diversify, I guess, my surroundings, like rocking with you and what you do with the tarot cards and your intuitive work. And then shout out to Kim Gedney, my favorite psychic and medium. But like, as I started to really embrace them and really, they helped me to connect and to realize that not only is there God in spirit, but I am God in spirit. I am a part of that, right? Because I'm divinely created. And if I want to hear spirit's voice, I got to pause and go within. Because when we pray, oftentimes we are talking, right? We are talking, God, please, Jesus, this and that, right? We're talking. But for me, when I started to meditate, I listened and I received and I heard, and I felt like I hear spirit. So when you see me doing Soulful Sundays, that is me coming out of meditation and loudly hearing, spirit tell me, this is what folks need to hear. It's me doing the meditation that I heard, like, girl, this relationship is over. It's over. You need to do it today. This is where I heard, you're going to do this Gift of Diva showcase that I started in 2006. That's when I heard, you're going to write this book. This book needs to be said. You're going to do this. You are not resting. You need to sit your ass down. So these are things that I started to slowly hear because I paused and I listened. So spirituality for me is definitely a combination of influences. My therapist also is very spiritual. She would lead me in guided meditations. And so when I showed up for therapy sessions, like I feel flighty, I'm on edge, I'm anxious. She would get me all the way together with guided meditation. And I was like, yo, I need more of this in my life. So I slowly just started kind of developing my own practices. And I feel like for me, it's not a right or wrong. It's what feels good to me. And so what works for me is meditating daily. What works for me is having an altar from my ancestors and lighting a candle and doing my cards and doing angel cards. And even for me today, honestly, I do them every Sunday. I was doing my cards and the deck is called Angel Deck. And so like a card flipped out, but I was just like, all right, like sometimes I got to test them because I'm hard-headed. And I'm like, I know you flipped out. And when you flip out, it means that's what I'm supposed to get. But if you really mean it, like I'm testing you. If you really mean it, it's going to show up again. Spread the cards out, got the same exact card. And it was raise your vibrations. And the card was about celebrating all the things that I've accomplished. And I'm like, well, that makes sense because today's my book release. So just developing my own system. But I think for me, if it's spirituality, you should feel good. And if you pray for something, if you ask for something, then you should automatically believe it. But if you are praying for things and you are still fearful, if you are still doubtful, more often than not, because doubt comes up, then it may be time to maybe expand your horizons or think about other ways that you can sort of work on whatever that religious practice or spiritual practice is.
I love it.
But I'm glad that you asked me that. That was a good question, but I know that was a lot.
It's a big part of you. And I honestly feel like, I think that you would be who you are no matter what you were going through in your life, because there are so many steps that led you to where you are today. But I do think that your spiritual practice is one of the things that allows you to have that quiet strength and your loud confidence. Like that spiritual energy is a part of you. And we are seeing it in this book. When you all read this book, you will see that Dr. Boz is coming at us on a different level than some of your previous books. This is a book that feels like it was channeled through you, because you are dropping some serious knowledge here, like some serious wisdom and some things that I feel like this is going to be one of those books that if someone gets it as a gift, it could sit in their bookshelf for a minute and then they won't pick it up until they're ready. They'll just know that it's time for them to read this book. So I want to urge anyone that is listening to this call. If you pick up this book and there's anything in it that you don't connect with, you don't vibe with right away, it might not be time for you to hear the lessons that are in these books, because these are some really deep concepts, and getting free is difficult stuff. And you talked about that a lot here, but I love that you give us a step-by-step path. So I just have one more question relating to that.
Oh,
Because
okay. So before you ask that question though, I want to just say, because you said it felt like it was divinely written.
yes,
Crystal is Crystal still on the call? So I told Crystal when I was writing, I was like, yo, I feel like something took over on certain parts, not every single piece, but there were certain pieces that one, I cried while writing, like literally, and paused and was like, oh my God, I'm about to share this. Or it was a release for me, but also there were moments where I could not stop writing. Like I would like write, I would like go, cook dinner, come back, take a shower, but I could not. It would be 11 o'clock at night and it was like, okay, maybe I don't want the computer light on, but I got to get this out. I felt like it was just like so necessary. Certain chapters were just like, somebody needs this, somebody needs this. So I felt strongly about that.
that's exactly how it comes through. It comes through as if you are like you're dropping knowledge on us, and it's constant. Like every chapter is more gems of truth. And some things, I consider myself to be a pretty spiritually connected person. And when it comes to raising my own vibration, I know how to do that. When it comes to getting more things in my life, whether it's even just esoteric concepts like happiness or a new car, I know how to do that through my affirmations, through validation, manifestation. And these are things that are important to me, but it's that loud confidence part specifically. That whole section is definitely what it pointed out to me, like this is something that I need to work on. And I felt like you really gave the tools to people who, especially if you are working through this process with yourself, if you're not sure where to go next, if you're not even sure what to think about when you think about these concepts, I felt like this book was a gift from above to people when you are at that point in your life when you need it. So I know people are going to see that
I
out of
hope
this
so.
book.
I hope it does. If it's one chapter, if it's one person, then my job is done. So I hope so. And I did want to give people tools. I didn't want to just talk about my experience or just preach to people. I wanted to say, here is something that's important, but also here are some steps to get to it. Here are some practices that you can include or that you can start to try so that you can do the work, because people can read about doing the work, but sometimes we need like explicit instruction. And that's why I wanted to give explicit instruction.
Yeah. So my last question is just this book, it's both informational, but it's also inspirational. You are going to be hella motivated when you finish this book. So after we're all done reading it, after we're done digesting it, what do you suggest we do to keep motivated and to keep these vibes going for ourselves?
I think for every person is going to be different. So there's a lot of it's what do you need to raise your vibrations? What do you need to feel good? So one thing is always connecting to your inner child. I think is super important. What are the things that you loved to do when you were little that were enjoyable, or things that like maybe people told you shouldn't do or you're too old for, right? What do you like to do? I know for you, you recently talked about getting like the Nintendo Switch, or something like that, because I didn't do video games, but I know like those are things that it's okay for us to connect. People think because we're adults we're supposed to just be adulting all the time, and adulting is whack sometimes. So it's like go back to those things you love. For me it was dancing, so every time I'm dancing or I'm doing old school, and I don't want to do nothing new, I want to do the old stuff because I was young when I was doing that. But for me, that's what helps me. So finding, I think, connecting to your inner child. And again, there's phases to your inner child. So 4-year-old Toya needed something different than teenage Toya, than 19-year-old Toya. So I think that's important. Developing your system of spirituality and connecting every day. So it's not just prayer, right? And asking or prayer or reading, but it's doing too, right? And practicing and then questioning things like, all right, I just prayed for this, but I'm feeling doubtful. Pause in the moment. Why am I feeling doubtful? What is it in me that makes me feel like I'm unworthy or that God won't give this to me? So I think really questioning that and sitting in your shit, because that's the hardest thing. For me during the pandemic, when it first hit, I'm a person who's always struggled with safety, which makes sense because, losing people at an early age, changing homes, things like that, and being in relationships that weren't necessarily safe. So for me, safety has always been an issue. So when the pandemic came, my sacral, my root chakra was jacked up. I was concerned, like what the hell's happening outside, what does future look like? So immediately I went to sort of maladaptive things like, oh well, fuck it, I guess we're gonna drink wine all day long, right? We're gonna Chardonnay it up, we're gonna go through boxes of wine in a week. We're gonna cook, even though cooking is joyful, you don't gotta eat it all. So I started like not feeling good about myself, gained some weight, was drinking lots of wine, was like, just staying up late, not really resting, and it didn't feel good after a while. So it was like once I got reconnected to my childhood self, once I started to face and deal with some of the things that were coming up for me, I think that was helpful too. And also when you raise your vibrations, who is in your circle? Because if you are in circles where you are constantly having to fill somebody else's cup, when are you going to have room for yourself? You want to be around people who believe in you, who support you. You want to learn how to distance yourself and spend that time with yourself. I think that's the most important thing. We are so busy doing stuff for other people. We are so busy going after goals and dreams. We are so busy trying to fulfill all these responsibilities. But when do we sit in? And for many of us, especially if you're a parent or you work 2 jobs, or you're caring for other people, we don't take that time to sit, or we dismiss our feelings and we kind of feel like I shouldn't feel this way. Your feelings are valid and your feelings are important. Do you need to always act on them and go start wilding out? No, but if I feel resentment towards somebody, I'm valid in feeling that resentment, but let's sit in it. Why do I feel resentful about this person? What was it that happened? What can I do about it? So really sitting in yourself, I think, is probably one of the most important things you can do. And again, connecting to your child and looking at who is within your circle and doing things daily, because it's daily work. And I think for some of us, we just do the work sometimes. And then when we're feeling good, we stop doing the work. Nah, even when you're feeling good, because there are some days I'm like, I don't feel like meditating. Nah, I'm going to meditate. So maybe today, instead of 30 minutes, maybe it's 15, but I'm going to do the work. So doing the work every single day, and then not beating yourself up on the days that you don't do the work, I think is what's most important. Like every day I'm doing my affirmations. I'm writing my affirmations on the refrigerator. And if I'm heating up my coffee, I'm saying them to music. I'm doing that. If I'm not in a good space, I am putting on music that feels good to my soul and my spirit. If I'm feeling like I'm in a funk, I'm like, okay, what positive thing are we going to do? Are we going to go sit in nature? Are we going to go for a walk? But I am going to address those things head on and do the work every single day.
I love it. Well, Toya, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inviting me to be here. Thank you for being a part of my circle that inspires me. And thank you for creating such an amazing book. Thank you for being a vessel for an amazing piece of work to add to your collection of already incredibly helpful and dynamic and creative work that you already have that exists. We're so blessed to have you among us in this lifetime. And I'm so proud of you.
So I'm gonna do
I know you hated all of that, by the way. She's trying to move on very quickly.
I was like, segue.
I know, segue, but no, we're
I'm
very
working
proud
on
of
it.
you.
So when we talk about doing the work, I am working on it. In therapy, we are working on being able to express myself vocally. Because part of my trauma was like, yo, I shut down, I self-soothe, I go inward, I write down my feelings. So I'm getting better about being able to express things, but it's work.
That's right. Melanie said, fuck being humble, brag, bitch.
There we go. So what I'm going to do though, I'm going to do 2 more raffles, because remember we had 6, and then I'm going to leave it open for a couple of Q&As about the book, about the chapters, anything that folks want to ask. So first I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go back to our raffle. I think the next raffle I'm going to do is the Black Woman raffle. The Black Woman raffle comes with earrings. Some of the earrings are by Shandal. I'm actually wearing Shandal's custom earrings right here. I'm rocking those today. But it comes with the earrings. It comes with a dope ass Black woman self-care coloring book, which I love. Like I loved it so much. I was like, oh, I'm gonna order me one too. But again, it comes with all the other stuff too. And it also comes with the peanut. No, it comes with the bullet, the twisted bullet from my Unabashed store, because in the book I talk a lot about masturbation and pleasure, because I think it's important. In a lot in our community, we are shunned. We are not taught to be sexual beings, because we're just not supposed to talk about it in public. We're supposed to like be quiet and, freaks in the bedroom only, don't talk about it. And oftentimes we're taught to protect ourselves more. Don't get pregnant, don't get an STD, but we're not taught like, tell him he ain't hitting that spot or ask him for what you want. So that's why we're also giving away the Twisted Bullet, which is one of our top sellers on unabashed.com. You can definitely always shop that store as well. So let me share the screen and we are going to do another raffle. Let's see who is going to win this raffle. Is this Facebook? Okay, there we go. Yes. Oh no, that's the wrong screen. I think I'm on social media. Stop that share. Okay, 1 second. We're gonna do 2 raffles here. Okay, now we can share. So this is going to be for the black woman raffle. Click to spin. Let's see who we got. Registering though. I'm going to remove her and we're going to do it one more time. Big money, big money. Oh, open the floor up to questions. So she just won the black woman. This one is called hers. So gather yourself that sitting in it, and getting her is her symptom. Don't let me fuck it up. It's tea, and it comes with the strainer. It comes with this delicious lemon honey flavored tea that is the bomb. It also comes with a whole bunch of other things too, but that's the big feature item. So here we go. Here's our lucky winner. Woo! Congratulations for that. We do have 2 more raffles left, so we're going to do those raffles right after this quick Q&A. So if folks have any questions that they would like to ask, either about the book, some of the chapters in the book, or any of the things that we talked about earlier. And I'm not sure if there's any more social media questions, but if there are, definitely let me know. Yolanda, go right ahead, honey.
Hey, Toya, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I don't have a question, but I wanted to just give you your flowers while you are here. And I just want to say thank you for doing the work and providing ways, tools, opportunity, motivation, enlightenment for other Black women. Because as you know, Black women struggle with the connection to themselves and to others. And so I just want you to know that I appreciate you. I love you, and keep doing your thing. Like don't stop, because there are people out here, there are Black women out here who need you, and keep doing it.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for supporting all the time with everything. Appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I see the flowers, the roses, in the I don't know what those are, sunflowers. Does anyone else have any questions, comments about the book?
I have a question. So my question is, what keeps you driving forward with all the many things that you have going on and projects and just all the different hats you wear? How do you execute, putting out the toy line, putting out, all these different things at once?
I think that's an excellent question. I think it's twofold. So the first part is one is always bigger than me, right? So it's like, who am I helping? Who is this for? And again, you know who my people are. I'm looking out for the women, men, I love y'all, but like, it's the women first, it's children, it's Black women. So it's like, what do we need? And a lot of it comes from what I needed, and maybe I either got on my own, but like, it's always something bigger than myself. First off, and then secondly, it takes strategic planning. And some of this is stuff that I do with some of my coaching clients, is writing down the goals, making sure that they're SMART goals, and then coming up with a plan for not only how to accomplish those goals, but also for how will I approach any potential obstacles, and how do I keep myself motivated in trying to achieve my goals, and also how do I reward myself when I accomplish those goals as well. So I always have a reward system. Every time I do a book, I get the same like champagne, a little small one, and I'm just like, yes, sis, you did it. That's one way. Sometimes it's, rewarding myself by buying myself something new. Sometimes it's allowing myself, to play longer than normal. If I'm like, all right, you get 30 minutes today to do this, but now today it's an hour. So I think being able to almost like a kid, like you get a reward for doing what you got to do, but planning it out and being okay with not always meeting deadlines. In the beginning of the year, I had certain things that I was like, I'm going to accomplish. At the beginning of the year, I'm like, okay, I'm going to launch Unabashed. I'm going to write this book. I am going to automate my workshops. I didn't get to that yet. I'm all right with that though, because that was like one of the later plans. So I think for me, it was prioritizing what came first. I knew that when I launched Unabashed Toy Line, when I wanted to launch it. So it was like, all right, here are my milestones from, February to March, this needs to get done. From the month of March, this should get done. During April, I should do this. So I broke things down into baby steps. And I think that's what's going to be really important in trying to accomplish goals, is breaking them down into those little tiny baby steps. And leaning on support too, having a support system. Some people need accountability. They need like somebody on their ass. Some people don't like that. So knowing what you need, what do you need? I'm very self-motivated, but some folks need like a little push or a gentle nudge to keep going. But thank you for that question. That was excellent. Shh. Oh, we got the baby on. Don't worry. Okay, who would like to go next? Does anybody have more? Maybe one or two more? And then we'll raffle. Oh, is somebody's hand raised? Quest, is your hand raised? Y'all ain't got to raise your hand. Y'all could just shout it out, because sometimes I don't be seeing the hand raised.
It is raised.
Okay, it's black too. Your hand is not that dark, but go ahead.
It is. I'm Lapita Black. Everybody knows it. So I love and respect and completely support and understand that this project that keeps women first, and I love that about it. I was just wondering if the men that may pick up this book, is there any things that you hope that if a man did pick up this book, that they would take away from it?
So there are some chapters that are, and that's a great question too. There are some chapters that are, I think are great for men to read so they can understand the perspective of a Black woman, but also of women. But also many of these chapters are not about being a woman. So the healing stuff is something male, female, whatever you want to identify as, non-binary, anybody can do the healing stuff. Anybody could read the chapter on criticism or on shame and guilt. So I think that one's important. Also, I think a very important one that I feel like all men should read is my chapter called Unfuck Yourself, because in that chapter, I talk about sexual empowerment. I talk about sexual assault and things that are put, again, in perspective that maybe some men were not socialized to really understand. So I think that's it. But overall, even though it's a woman on the cover and the book is like from a free woman, a majority of the book, any gender or non-gender could read it and have something to take away from it very easily.
Thank you.
That was a great question. Thank you. And we have time for probably one more. Or not. I mean, that's cool too. Okay, we have no more. I'm going to do the screen share. So the next reading that we're going to do is Protect Your Peace. The Protect Your Peace is comes with the Sage bundles. And this one is just about what we talked heavily about today, which is like turning off the outside noises, now not allowing certain influences, whether they be social, religious, political, familial, not allowing these influences to become louder than our inner voices. So really protecting your peace, not allowing everything else to talk over what you know. When people come to me for advice, sometimes if it's something that I can really, provide some logical things with, but when it comes to decisions and they're like, should I do A or B? I'm like, you know the answer. You know the answer. I could tell you what I think. I could tell you what I would do, but you know the answer. You just haven't sat with yourself and really played it out. And sometimes when you ask people that question, you already know the answer too. But it's like, again, we're looking for outside validation. We need somebody to tell us our decision is right. Nah, you don't need that. You don't need that. You know the answer. So that's the Protect Your Peace raffle. So we're going to do that one real quickly. Let me just reset up my beautiful screen. Here we go. So this is the protect your peace. Ooh, this time is spinning kind of fast. Yolanda. Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry. Don't get excited. Maybe it is you. It is Yolanda. Yes. Congratulations for that one. Yolanda has the protect your peace gift set. I know you already have the quiet confidence loud t-shirt, but you can still get another one. It's fine. And also I may throw in another bonus t-shirt for you because I know you got that one, but her loud confidence quiet strength t-shirt. So there you go. We put the t-shirt on, you start feeling yourself a little bit more for real. All right. And then the last one is from the chapter called Unfuck Yourself. And I know that sounds strong for some folks, but first of all, I'm not one to filter myself, but also I think this chapter is important because again, it talks about sexual empowerment, not only for ourselves, but also the way that we view and judge other people and their sexuality. It also touches on body image and sexual assault. And for me, honestly, was probably one of the most difficult chapters that I've ever written. So this one comes with the Peanut remote control bullet toy, and then it also comes with a little compact one that's the size of a lipstick that you could put in your purse. And again, it comes all with the t-shirt, with the mug. All of the gifts also come with a chakra bracelet, since we talked about spirituality. It's just a bracelet, so if folks are religious and afraid, it really is just a bracelet with some crystals on there that just pretty much are about healing and making sure that we are all in alignment. So here's our last raffle. Oh, that's for Joan Elise, but Joan Elise ain't, that's one of my former students as well. Wasn't here. Are you kidding me? Gloria wins it again. Yo, you stay winning all the raffles. So hopefully Gloria will be nice enough to share the t-shirt or in the mug with somebody else. Maybe she can gift it as well. So we'll see about that. I'm going to have one more piece I'm going to read and then we are going to close out. This one is from the chapter on free yourself from guilt and shame, but it's just the main part about free yourself. And since the book is entitled Reflections and Realizations from a Free Black Woman, I just want to share one snippet of the entire thing about ways to free yourself. And it's this one way to free yourself. So I give you 3 or 4 steps on how to become free. But the very first one, and the very most important one, is stand in your truth. In my opinion, this is the most critical paragraph in this book. This is because it's the most difficult, most transformative thing one can do. It is also one of the most courageous. Deciding to live genuinely means that you refuse for your choices to be influenced by other people's limiting belief systems. You determine your own ideas and definitions for purpose, success, happiness, and family. When this happens, you may initially feel isolated, out of place even. You are choosing the road less traveled, and for many people in your circle, the road no one has traveled. The people around you are the ones who feel alienated by your courage to live authentically. Your growth makes them uncomfortable because they no longer can come uncomfortable because they long to do the same thing, but they feel constrained, or they can't see where they fit in your new reality. Their discomfort with you, who you are becoming, is theirs to contend with, not yours. You cannot allow yourself to be lured off track. You must move forward, understanding that not everybody is meant to join you for the entire journey. That is yours only. And any emotional challenges along the way will be well worth it, I promise. And I think that's what I kind of want to close with, is that it's hard. It's hard work. It's constant work. But it is worth it. In the moment, it's not. And I always think about it in terms of my workouts. Like some days I'm like, I don't want to work out. It's dark, it's cold. I had a bad day. I really just want to eat some, grilled cheese and whatever, right? But every time I work out, even if it's reluctantly, I'm like, fuck, let me do these 30 minutes. I always feel amazing after. I'm like, oh my God, that was so great. And that's the way that inner work is to getting free. When you start doing the work to get free, it just gets better and better and better. And again, it's always going to be hard. You're always going to have to pull back, but it's so much better on the other side of doing that work. I'm going to close with that. If anybody has any, lasting thoughts or anything, feel free to throw them out. I thank you so much. I will be announcing a Facebook raffle for anybody who tuned in via Facebook a little bit later. Also, to help you maintain and be inspired, because Kaylina asked, is my playlist. So I actually have one playlist is already on YouTube, and I can post the link in the event page. It's The Quiet Strength. So these are songs that you need when you need to listen to, when you need to sit in it. when you need to face those uncomfortable feelings, when you are contemplating change, when you are in the midst of change. And then there's the loud confidence one. That's where it's just that feel good music. We heard some of this in the beginning, a little bit of Mary J. Blige, Meg Thee Stallion's on there, but it's a nice, good mixture of like, yeah, I'm a bad mother, shut your mouth type of music. So I'll be posting that later to YouTube. This will probably be uploaded to YouTube as well. So you have 2 playlists that you can use to inspire yourself a little bit. And I look forward to hearing your reviews on the book. When it does get released, please, please, please make sure that, and I'll post the links and I'll share, please make sure that you share your reviews for it on Amazon, and let folks know that it's out there when it does come out officially. I thank you all so much for tuning in, for supporting, for sharing, for being a part of the raffle, for asking great questions, for giving up some of your time on Sunday, the day before most of us go back to work. I so appreciate it, and thank you all very, very much. I'm going to end the live, but I'm not going to end the thing because I want to just like close out with like a good little jam if we can, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how I do. Well, no, you know what? I'm going to end the live. It's time to go. It's 4:35 and I want to honor your time. So thank you all very, very much. Have a lovely rest of your Sunday and rock the week. Thank you.